Next question. How do your coworkers and friends perceive you, and how would they describe you? Hold on, let me change the song. Okay. You can ask them how would they describe you. Or you can just come up with some of your own things that you think they would say about you. I answered it like this. They would probably say I'm a good listener. Whenever they need a piece of advice, they come to me. I don't like to see people around me unhappy because it brings me down, so I try to do my best to cheer them up instead. So that's an example of a good answer. I mentioned that I'm a good listener, which is a good trait for a flight attendant. So if you are coming up with your own answer, pick something that you think a flight attendant should possess. Next question that I have is, tell me about a time you were disappointed with your performance. I actually based my answer off of my previous work experience at Medieval Times.
This is medieval times!
So I said that it was during one of the shows at Medieval Times. I was serving the front row in VIP, and they didn't mention to me that they had a voucher for a birthday cake. I was very busy with the service trying to finish everything on time and didn't ask them if they were supposed to get a cake. So at the end of the show, they said to me that they didn't get it. I was disappointed about it that night, but it taught me that some customers want their needs to be anticipated, and sometimes they will not ask for something they need. So from now on, I pay more attention to how guests are behaving because you can pick up a lot through their body language, tone of voice, and such. I'm giving you some life stories here, not just an answer. You want to let the recruiter know that, first of all, what you have done to resolve the issue, and secondly, what you have learned from that situation and what you are doing differently now. Next question that you might get on your interview is, tell us about a time you experienced bad customer service. For this question, I'm not going to give you an answer. You'll just have to recall a time you experienced bad customer service. There's no point for me giving my bad customer service story. They ask you this question on the interview basically to make sure you understand what bad customer service is, how it made you feel, and how you're never gonna give anyone bad customer service if they give you this job. Next question that I have for you guys is, tell me about a time where you were given an unrealistic demand from a supervisor and how did you handle it? So a lot of the times, unrealistic demands just seem that way because you are not confident enough. So when you give an answer to this particular question, you want to make sure you mention that you have faced some difficulties and those demands seemed unrealistic, but actually you got through it and it was not an unrealistic demand after all. This is just how I turned this question around and made the answer seem positive in the end. You can answer this question however you like, as long as your answer is on a positive note. Next question is a tricky question. Pay attention. Do you believe the customer is always right? Okay. Yes and no. Yes, the customer is always right, but in some cases the customer doesn't have all the necessary information to be right. In this case, they need to be given all the information so they can make a more informed decision. See how nice and smooth the answer sounds? Next question. What are some of your strengths and weaknesses? For me, it was that I adapt to change easily. In fact, that's the part that excites me about the job, because in actuality, you never know where you might end up on a given night, and I love it. So for this, you wanna, of course, pick your strengths, which will be the easy part of the answer, and the hard part of the answer will be your weaknesses, which is another tricky question. How do you make your weaknesses seem positive? My weaknesses, I said, I am sometimes impatient and a perfectionist. I want to do everything myself and feel bad when delegating work to others. I am aware of this weakness, and that's one of the reasons why I chose this job of a flight attendant. You have your duties and responsibilities, and you do not manage other people. To answer the question about your weaknesses, you want to find a weakness that can seem like a good thing. For example, being a perfectionist can be a good thing because you want to do everything perfectly, even though it's impossible. So just pick something that applies to you. You don't want to lie to them. Don't say that you have no weaknesses. No matter what, don't say that. Because Everybody has weaknesses. Like, come on, you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. This next question is probably the most popular one, and a lot of the times they ask this question first. Tell me about yourself. And then you start thinking, oh my gosh, who am I? They want to know about your work ethic, basically anything that's related to work. Here's an example of how I answered it. My name is Yulia. I have a mixed background in both hospitality and entertainment industry. My previous jobs have given me the necessary skills of customer service and enough confidence to perform a safety demo in front of a full plane. At my current job in medieval times, I greet the guests and we cheer for our night together. I connect with people really well. Pick some of your skills that you have from previous work experiences and some of your character traits. For example, like you connect with people really well. This next question is another situational question. Tell me about a time you had a disagreement with your boss and how you handled it. I'm not even gonna read it because it's too long and it's annoying. Just think of a disagreement you had with your boss at any of your previous jobs, doesn't matter which one, and you basically want to show them that you resolved it, you were able to listen, and you were able to come to a conclusion, and both sides were happy with the conclusion. Tell me about a time you made a frustrated passenger happy. I don't even have an answer. I don't think I was asked this question, but I'm still gonna give you this question just to think about it, because you might be asked something similar to that. Ooh, this one you will most likely get asked. Tell me about a time you went above and beyond for a customer and how did that go? So my answer was, there were a lot of times we were delayed and a lot of passengers were missing their connections. I understand how stressful it can be, so I asked the pilots to fetch me the information on the next connecting flights with departure time and gate numbers. Sometimes I would read it for everyone on PA, or just write it down and give it to the passengers who had connecting flights. They were relieved, and I was happy to help in any way because as a flight attendant, I had no control over delays. Where else would you get the luxury to do that other than, I can't say the name of my previous airline, but I was a single flight attendant on board, so I could do not whatever I want, obviously, but I could do something like this. Next question. What do you think are the main duties of a flight attendant? Yeah, what do you think? Diet Coke? Hey, if somebody's watching this as a passenger, what do you think are the main duties of a flight attendant? I'm just curious. I feel like some people think that we're just there like a glorified waitress. We're there for his safety. The main duty of a flight attendant is to ensure safety and comfort of passengers from the moment they board the aircraft till the moment they exit. Cabin crew attends pre-flight briefings, performs safety checks, ensures all the safety requirements are met by passengers. They make announcements, serve food and beverages, assist passengers with special needs, and take charge in case of emergencies. Even when it looks like they are not doing anything, they are still on high alert and watching for anything abnormal. That is it, guys. Next question. Why do you want to work for your particular airline? I don't know what kind of airline you are applying for, but regardless, you need to do a thorough research on that airline and know as much as you can about it. Then you will be able to include all of that information in your answer. Emphasize all of the positive aspects of that airline. Maybe they have great destinations that they fly to, maybe they have beautiful planes, you name it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh my gosh, that was probably the hardest question ever for me. I can't even see myself in a week from now. But they want to know if you'll be with the company in 5 years from now. Tell your recruiter that you are planning to stay with that airline and you are hoping to kind of advance your career with them. Training requires a lot of resources, time, money, so they want to know if they invest into you, you're not gonna leave them. What do you consider the most difficult thing about this job? For me personally, it's the irregular hours because they are tough on my body. This job is not as glamorous as some people think, but nevertheless, it's worth it because you get so much in return. It's the only job I ever missed quitting. You see how I mentioned that irregular hours are tough on my body, but at the same time, I said that it's still worth it and I love this job no matter what? Yeah, that's the kind of idea you want to give them. Tell me about a time you felt pressure at work / emergency situation. So luckily enough, I was never involved in an emergency situation. Flight attendants are well trained to deal with emergency situations, but regardless, they are still scary, okay? If you have been a flight attendant before and you were faced with an emergency situation, you can use that as an example to answer this question. Or you can also tell them about a time you felt pressure at work, which probably all of you had that. For my answer, I said, I was fortunate enough not to experience any emergencies on board, but a lot of times I was under stress because of delays. The passengers would always voice their concerns to me, so I would listen to them and apologize. If I were to have an emergency, I would not allow myself to panic because then the passengers would start panicking. I imagine since flight attendants go through extensive training, there would be no reason to panic because we would know exactly what to do. That is the perfect example how to answer this question. That was actually my last question. I feel like this video is gonna be super long after I edit it, but it's okay. I'm giving you some information here, you guys. Hopefully you find it useful. As a bonus point, another tip from me, it's a very important thing to never forget. When your recruiter asks you if you have any questions for them, ask them questions. That shows that you have listened, that you have done the research on the airline, and you are genuinely interested in this job. I asked them 2 questions. Number 1, for you personally, what do you think are the main challenges that all flight attendants encounter, and how to overcome those challenges? Actually listen to the answer, okay? And maybe they can give you some tips on how to better prepare yourself to not be so stressed out. Another question I asked my recruiter is, how would you say their airline is different from other major airlines? There are many questions you can ask the interviewer. Just think of what do you want to know. Don't just ask the question for the sake of asking it. Ask them something you genuinely want to know and listen to the answer. That's it for today, you guys. I hope this video wasn't too long and I didn't bore you to death. Just trying to give you some helpful information so you guys can all pass your flight attendant interviews and get this wonderful job. I'm really happy for you if you have already been invited to the interview. You can do this, and please prepare. Use all the time you have to do your research. Feel free to use this video to help you prepare for the interview. If this video helped you in any way, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Comment down below what you have found the most useful thing in this video, and I am really happy I was able to help you guys. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.